There were a lot of starts and stops in composing this episode. I voice noted, and it started sounding like a diatribe. So I had to listen to the voice note multiple times to pluck out what was really valuable for the collective. Because I didn't want to rant, and I didn't want to come off like I was calling this a PSA, but really subbing like one or two people. And with respect to that, one of my favorite Jay-Z lines that answers this question, like, who she talking about and who she talking to? Let's end the speculation. I'm talking to all of y'all. I want to make some things clear to everybody at one time. On behalf of everyone who has ever felt or currently feels like the reinforcement they've received or are receiving from others is, I'd like you better, or I think you would be better if you were different. Because believe it or not, there is a whole community of people who feel this way but can't find the words to communicate their feelings and frustration. One of the things that I've analyzed over the course of this year is that although we all experience different people different ways, many feel entitled to lead, direct, or expect people to experience them how they want to be experienced, and that's just not a reality. You cannot control how someone else experiences you. They have the right to experience you in whatever way that they do, and if you don't find it pleasing, you have two options. Option one, you can remove yourself from that person's life. Option two, you can alter yourself to become more appealing to them. Those choices, they are yours. But the choice that is not yours is how to make them respond to you so that you feel better about yourself. Because that's all it boils down to. And do not confuse that with giving an advisory or a disclaimer about yourself. Giving someone precursory information about you is very different from giving someone instructions on how to respond to you according to your self-perception. Passion public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something. So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion, no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to the season 3 premiere of the Passion PSA podcast, where I, Passion No Last Necessary, your Get You Right guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I have observed or was on my mind. This is still a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to both expand your thinking and aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, for yourself, and for others. This is still a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I will never rob you of your right to feel what you feel the same way. I will not sugarcoat what it is I have to say to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so you can operate as your highest and best self. We are continuing our practice of affirmations before we get into the meat of the episode to intentionally raise the vibration and ensure that if what I say rubs you wrong, we have started high enough that if you do come down, you will still be on a higher vibration. So if you are ready, you are welcome to take a deep breath. You are welcome to repeat these affirmations after me or take this time to state your own affirmations. I am who I am. There is room for me. There is need for me. I have value. I have purpose. My worth is immeasurable. I am evolving every day. I learn more about myself every day. I become more of my best self every day. There is no rush on my evolution. I am where I am supposed to be in this moment and continually moving toward excellence. It is well. I am well. All is well. Ashe, ashe, ashe. So what's up, passionates? It seems like it's been a long time, but then it doesn't. My summer was phenomenal. Thank you for allowing me that space to take care of some other things and to take care of me. I did some traveling. I attended some outings, some of which will be shared as the network continues to expand. I made some major life decisions. I did a lot of growing. I identified some blocks and cultivated some strengths. Some of those blocks will be shared as always, and I believe for those of you who've been down since the beginning that you'll see the growth for yourself. I will continue to use my life experiences to help you find new courses in navigating yours. So in alignment with that today, I just want to introduce myself to the new passionates and reintroduce myself to the OGs in case you missed anything. So if you are new here, once again, hi, I'm Passion, no last necessary, and most people call me Passion. As a performing artist, I act, I do spoken word poetry, and I sing. As a motivator and educator, I teach, counsel, and advise. I teach through storytelling. I use almost all real-time examples, and I do not rush through my stories. You may call it long-winded, I call it detailed. Just stick with me. I always tie it together seamlessly in the end. I speak. In this space, I speak as deep thinker sharing thoughts and opinions after extensive thought, edit, and revision. I speak on social platforms, sometimes in an entertaining way, sometimes seriously, but for the most part, my service to my audience is self-awareness, personal development, self-love, and consideration for and of others. My reactions and responses aren't as predictable as some would like to believe or pigeonhole me into, because I'm listening to everything and analyzing what's being said. And that includes what's coming out of my own mouth. I believe in communication, and I believe it is most effective when we're speaking and listening intentionally. I am deliberate in what I say. I respect the power of words and the purpose of words. So I do my best not to use them too casually or carelessly. Fun fact, my standard conversation includes words that are not standard in common English. I am a word nerd and unashamed. Never you fret though, because some episodes will contain the dictionary definition segment break. I got a whole music bed and everything, and that will give you a guide to some of the more unfamiliar vocabulary, as well as to ensure that everyone is as familiar and clear about the definitions of the common words as they are familiar with using them. I believe that life and death are indeed in the power of the tongue. So for me and mine, and when I say mine, that includes you, I want us to have as many life-creating and affirming words in our arsenal as possible. I want us to be using the words appropriately and accurately. So I impose that segment so when we discuss topics, everybody can be on the same page. Everybody's clear on the definition or definitions and the various ways this one word can be used and how we're using it in the context of this episode. Let's make our minds as rich and full as we want our bank accounts and our pockets to be. Now, the same way I am intentional and deliberate about my word usage is the same way I am intentional about how I listen. I am 100% that person who, if you ask me if I heard what you said and I didn't, I will tell you absolutely not, because I wasn't listening. I'm not going to tell you yes to make you feel better or to make me look better. This is important to note, because when you pose questions to me, whether written or spoken, I am listening to or reading the words used and noting the delivery. If your answer is all inclusive of everything, everywhere, you can freely use generalizations without challenge from me. But if that is not the case, I'm going to call you on it. Because as I've stated in a PSA back in 2020, your assertion that I know what you mean is an assumption. What is confirmed, however, is that I know what you said. If you mean something other than what you're saying, it is your duty to communicate that. It is not my duty to interpret that. A lot of people are lazy speakers, so they want to use as few words possible to make elaborate points. And when they miss the mark, they want to challenge the listener. No, friend. The same applies for the exaggerator. Exaggeration is a human condition. We all do it in one way or other. We exaggerate how long it took someone to do something. We exaggerate temperatures. We exaggerate how hungry we are. And it's conceptually recognized that the speaker is using extremes to stress the point. But many of us use generalities and exaggeration of a point and expect the listener to know when we're exaggerating versus when there are exceptions. All, every, none, these words are not synonymous with most, many, some, and or few. So as a deliberate speaker, I am a deliberate listener. I'm listening to what's being said, and I'm analyzing all the ways it can be interpreted. But if you leave it up to me to guess what you mean, I'm going with what I'm going with, and you're not the victim if I didn't guess right, because I shouldn't have had to guess at all. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If your statements are ambiguous, I'm questioning you. When people ask questions because they're not clear on the intentions of what you said, or there's room for it to be interpreted differently because your word choice allows for multiple inferences, stop faulting people for asking questions for clarity. Stop accusing them of reading so much into everything. Stop asking, why can't it just be this? If the word you chose has 5 definitions or implications, then the range of misunderstanding stretches from alternative definition to pretext for insult. Why not get it straight so nobody gets it twisted? Because believe it or not, playing these kinds of mind games where you hope someone misinterprets what you say, or you allow them to misinterpret it now, so down the line you can deny having said something or take the position of, that's how you took it, but that's not how I meant it. All of that is rooted in control. It's manipulation, which is a control mechanism. And if you doubt me, I challenge you to talk to your therapist friends and ask them. I will happily have them on the show so we can clear up any inaccuracies, and they can tell you publicly that I'm right. There will be many moments of laughter on this journey with me because I love to laugh. But there will also be seriousness. Some will find my seriousness offensive, off-putting, and even oppressive. And I am very okay with that. We have talked a lot about escapism and how so many of us prioritize escapism over dealing with what is in front of us. If escaping the issue would make it go away, that wouldn't really be all that problematic. But since often who you're trying to escape is you, and what you're trying to escape is your emotional underdevelopment, escapism won't serve you because you can't hide from your reflection any more than you can run from your shadow. Refusing not to look at a thing doesn't mean it's not there. The goal here is to look at it, assess it, and come up with an action plan to address it. Getting through life unscathed is virtually impossible. But getting through life without damaging everything and everyone we come in contact with because of what we've experienced, that isn't. But the work that's required is serious. It can be arduous. It can be redundant. It can be replete with the unexpected twists and turns that can hit you so hard you feel like you can't bounce back, or maybe you don't want to bounce back. That is serious. And serious thought, serious study, and serious research, these are the ways that the navigation tools you need are created. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Good Time? So if that's all you came here for, you won't find it. Neither in this podcast nor in life. Ask those who know, they'll tell you. In my less than shining moments, I have follow the manipulator's lead. And when I say that, I'm talking about the person who says things like, it's good, right? Or it wasn't so bad, right? Or, you know, I didn't mean anything by it when I said blah, 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 right? And that translates to me agreeing to something I didn't necessarily agree with, or because I went along to get along. Now, I have done enough going along with and settling for. I've done enough ego stroking, staying in compromising positions, going places I didn't want to go, participating in things I wanted no part of, engaging in conversation I had no interest in, and laughing at things I did not find funny. I have done enough of all of those things to last a Chinese dynasty. But that dynastic period is over. You can't ask me to go back, and you can't make me. It took this long to be really comfortable being me. It took this long to not feel like I should have to apologize for being me. It took this long to push back because, contrary to popular opinion, I am very non-confrontational. And I know there's somebody that's like, the lie detector determined that was a lie. But if that's your position, I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourself how many things you've actually seen me start. Because I don't start it. Finish it? Absolutely. Because we not going to, right? But I don't start trouble because I actually don't like to argue. I don't like tension, and I don't like friction. It took this long to say, well, self, I really don't want to get into it with this person, but this isn't going to resolve itself, so here goes. It took this long to not be so hard on myself for not being more or having accomplished more, and I'm still working on that. So much so that my friends often have to literally stop me mid-conversation and run down my list of accomplishments because the conditioning got me feeling like for all I'm doing, it's not enough and I should still be doing more. So for whatever it is in my personality or all of my personality, if you don't like it, you don't have to. You don't have to entertain it. The door is always open and you are free to go. But if you plan on staying on this side of the threshold, the question of why I can't be more or less like anything other than myself, especially as it pertains to your ego and not my peace or my wellness or my emotional development, the answer is because I get to be me same way you get to be you. And if you don't feel like you need to change who you are, knowing you have work to do, man, you crazy as hell asking me to be different. If the question is why I'm so literal, ask yourself why you're not more precise about what you want to say. You want to know why I didn't laugh at your remark that you found funny? Well, that's because I didn't find it funny. And I have a right to that. And I don't need to be different. If you want me to laugh at your joke, it needs to amuse me. Everybody else laughed? Great. Go be their court jester. You want me to be less sensitive? Understand that my sensitivity about me is directly correlated to my empathy for you and my ability to assess issues through all lenses and from all angles. If you've ever gotten value from an episode or from anything I've posted on any social platform, from any conversation we've had one-on-one, you can thank my sensitivity for that. So you eliminate that and this becomes a completely different offering. Do you remember when we talked about the butterfly effect and creating a wrinkle in time? And newcomers, I know y'all might not have gotten through all of the episodes, but that's from season 2, episode 5. It's called Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda, and the link is right here, okay? But OGs, did you ever stop and think about what wrinkle in the other person's personality you might create if you could change just one thing? Probably not. But this is that. There were a lot of starts and stops in composing this episode. I voice noted and it started sounding like a diatribe. So I had to listen to the voice note multiple times to pluck out what was really valuable for the collective. Because I didn't want to rant and I didn't want to come off like I was calling this a PSA, but really subbing like one or two people. And with respect to that, one of my favorite Jay-Z lines that answers this question, like, who she talking about and who she talking to? Let's end the speculation. I'm talking to all of y'all. I want to make some things clear to everybody at one time. On behalf of everyone who has ever felt or currently feels like the reinforcement they've received or are receiving from others is, I'd like you better, or I think you would be better if you were different. Because believe it or not, there is a whole community of people who feel this way but can't find the words to communicate their feelings and frustration. One of the things that I've analyzed over the course of this year is that although we all experience different people different ways, many feel entitled to lead, direct, or expect people to experience them how they want to be experienced, and that's just not a reality. You cannot control how someone else experiences you. They have the right to experience you in whatever way that they do, and if you don't find it pleasing, you have two options. Option one, you can remove yourself from that person's life. Option two, you can alter yourself to become more appealing to them. Those choices, they are yours. But the choice that is not yours is how to make them respond to you so that you feel better about yourself. Because that's all it boils down to. And do not confuse that with giving an advisory or a disclaimer about yourself. Giving someone precursory information about you is very different from giving someone instructions on how to respond to you according to your self-perception. While I am in the business of serving people, and I am in the business of helping people do better, feel better, be better, become better, I am not in the business of being or feeling like anybody's doormat. I went through that stage in my life. And now I will not tolerate that under any circumstances for anyone, anytime, anywhere, in any way. I don't care who you are, relation be damned. So instead of apologizing, I'm giving everybody the space to be free of me if I am problematic for you. I recommend to those of you who feel voiceless that you do the same. Give everybody the space to be free of you if you are problematic for them. And if somebody is problematic for you, or they have things in their personality that you want to change, and it is so much that it makes you want to not be bothered with them, why do you keep trying to be bothered with them and saying if they would just change that one thing? Go along, friend, move around. Go be free instead of trying to be someone's personal adjuster and trying to make them be who you want them to be. And that especially goes for male persons who are trying to adjust female persons because they feel like if this woman would act this way, she would be perfect. Bruh, if she's not perfect enough as she is, one yourself, okay? If she wants to make the adjustments to appease you, cool. If not, because, like, why are you sticking around trying to make her different? If change is that important for you, why aren't you trying to become different? Because that's the question you really need to ask yourself. Because as perfect or as good enough as you think you are, I can guarantee you that I can find 5 people right now who would happily challenge that. Now, going back to the collective, a lot of you are in denial about that because you spend your life surrounded by the people who just stroke your ego, and they stroke it enough to make you feel good enough about yourself to where you say, well, I don't hear any complaints. This just in, that doesn't mean much. Some people aren't complaining because of your problematic behaviors, because your reactions are wild and the way you behave after the fact is wilder. And while you might not be the worst, you are far from the best. Stop trying to make other people be who and how you want them to be if you are not willing to be somebody else. And for those of you who feel like you are on the receiving end of this, stop trying to be someone you're not because someone would prefer you be different. I just needed to make sure all hearts and minds were on the same accord, passionates. I am who I am, and I have taken my entire life to be this iteration of myself, to be this reflection of Source. mistakes, bad decisions, failures included. I am that stern-faced, sultry voice, deep feeling, deep thinking, always analyzing, alternative perspective offering, authoritative speaker who loves to laugh but can tear you to shreds in a sentence. I will no longer apologize for who I am or how unpalatable one may find me, not because I'm nasty, but because of how my mind works. I will not alter who I am. I will not become less of who I am to stroke your ego. If you don't like me as I am, you are free to be free. If you like me as I am, but you feel like if just this one thing could change, know that no change is happening until I want it to. For any of you who feel like you have no voice in this area, but would love to shout all of what I just said from the rooftops, may my moment of transparency open your throat chakra so you too can declare your position. Critics, manipulators, adjusters, and narcissists, do remember that you have 100% autonomy over your decisions of who, what, where, when, and how you want to be. And so does everyone else. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, and compliments can be left in the comments. They are all welcome. I will get to each and every one of them as soon as I can. If you feel like yours was overlooked, fear not. I will double back and I will eventually get to it. If you have a more personal request, if you have a more personal address for me, if you have a listener letter, you can email that to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. If you would like to be a financial contributor, you can make donations through Zelle, PayPal, Linktree, Podbean. And if there's anything that I forgot, it'll be in the description box. But I think that's it for housekeeping, okay? Go forth, be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. Leave room for others to be them. And whatever you don't have the room for, remove yourself from. Be free to be you. And in all things, be passionate. This is going to be an amazing season, Passionates. See you later.